So I'm going to make up a new token and put this into a hypothetical scenario. So there is a Gary token, hypothetically, ticker Gary, issued by the Gensler Foundation in Switzerland. That's they had an ICO in 2017. That's the hypothetical scenario. The SEC is putting forward a lawsuit and is accusing them that they are an unregistered security. The SEC wins this case, and they are deemed an unregistered security. So what happens? There is three parties that are affected by that outcome. One is the issuer, which is the Gensler Foundation. One is the exchanges that actually trade this Gary token, which let's assume that this is Coinbase and Gemini, the two biggest US-based exchanges. And the third category are the holders, everybody that bought and is holding on to Gary token. So what's happening initially? And we kind of already know this because there is a precedence. We already have seen or witnessed a little bit what the direct impacts are. So the direct impact is that a lot of other exchanges are probably going to delist this thing. We saw that a little bit happen with what right now, Solana, Cardano on Robinhood, for example, or XRP in 2021. When they forwarded the lawsuit, a lot of exchanges proactively delisted it. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is, of course, there is an impact on the price, because when these things get delisted, there's a lot of FUD, uncertainty, and doubt. People are selling this thing, and the price is probably going to be affected in a negative way. And the third thing that is almost a certainty is that the Gensler Foundation is required to pay a hefty fee to the SEC, tens of millions probably. It depends on the size of the token, of course. So
mostly always depends on the profit or the revenue or something.
Yeah, exactly. So now the Gary Foundation, the Gensler Foundation, has three choices to move forward. So they lost the lawsuit. The first choice is we don't sell this token in the US anymore. Pretty obvious. And there is some downside to that because the biggest exchanges, the biggest market, they are in the West. So it's not very good if you are practically excluded from the US. Your token would be delisted on all US exchanges. You're not selling it anymore in the US. First choice. Second choice, keep on selling it as an unregistered security, which is probably going to result in another fine and is not a very favorable outcome. And also the exchanges are probably going to protect themselves, and they're not going to sell an unregistered security that is already deemed an unregistered security on their exchange. The third thing is actually register it as a security. So let's dive into that one, because this is the most important. The main difference between an unregistered and the registered security is that an unregistered security can only be bought by accredited investors. Accredited investor is a US thing. It's basically rich people. So let's go. And the Gensler Foundation is required to make this a registered security. What do they need to do? So it is insane what they need to do, because there is a lot of paperwork. Let's just name a few things that they are required to actually provide. So documentation on token subscription agreement, disclosure agreements, proof of compliance with ALM and KYC law, company info on the asset itself, a copy of publicity and other investor-facing materials, articles of incorporation, and much, much more. This is a process that is going to cost you in the millions. There is no way of registering a security that is not going into the millions. The people that really win here are the lawyers and the government entities. So it is a heavy process on regulation, but it's entirely possible. So all of these three choices, they have kind of a negative outcome. And I'm only talking about the issuer itself. So there is another party that is going to be affected by this. The second party is the exchanges that sold this thing. So Coinbase sold Gary token, and Gemini, they also sold Gary token. What do they need to do? You guessed it, more paperwork. So firstly, they need to have a broker-dealer license or something equivalent to this. And here, Coinbase and Gemini are at the forefront of all of this. They have a lot of lawyers, they have a lot of papers, but it's not all. They need to register with both the SEC and with the FINRA in the United States. And they will have oversight over all of the things that are happening. And plus, and get this, they need to be registered and have a license with every single regulator in every single state in the US, which is like approximately 50 different licenses, which is crazy. So more paperwork. And here you kind of can guess it. Coinbase and Gemini, they already did this in a lot of states, and they already have a broker-dealer license and equivalents. So they're kind of on a good foot in going to that direction. But the question they need to ask themselves is this worth it? Is it, or other exchanges, is it worth it to put all of this money into lawyers and into paperwork and so on? And then the third party that is going to be affected by this is, of course, the holders, the people that actually bought this. You don't need to worry. There is no paperwork required from you, but the way you are affected with this, especially if you're in the US, is if the token gets delisted, it's kind of hard to sell, and you probably don't want to sell in a loss. The SEC is basically, their mandate is to protect you, it's to protect me. And here, it's tough. And not to make a prediction, but we are at a pivotal point. We kind of need to ask ourselves one question, because if we are going the route that 90% of the crypto market is going to be deemed an unregistered security, what is the basic generalized outcome of this? It's basically going to be another arm of the legacy financial system. And do we really want that? Is this what crypto and this whole movement and everything is all about? This is the question we kind of need to ask ourselves. There is I can totally see that part of these tokens, some of these tokens, like maybe XRP, it is an extension of the financial system. That others maybe as well. But a lot of projects, a lot of people that are building, they're not really building the financial legacy system. They want to build something else, something that is kind of revolutionizing the old system. So this is the basic summary that I have prepared.